All right, guys, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America
and to the republic
for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
under God,
indivisible,
liberty, with liberty and justice
for all.
justice for all. Thanks, guys. All right, I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Romeo Downtown Development Authority for Monday, June 1st, 2020 at 7 p.m. Lisa, will you do a roll call, please?
Yes. Poznansky?
Here.
Humphreys? Humphreys?
She's probably muted.
I know she's here. Stevens?
Here.
Parker?
Here.
Brandt? Rose?
Hello, I'm here.
You're here. Tar?
Here.
Melzan?
Here.
Hayes?
Here.
You have a quorum.
All right, thank you. Next up, we have public forum, which we don't have an audience here. Next up, though, we have an approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
I'm sorry, I didn't catch that. Who?
President Malzahn, yeah. I'll make the motion to approve the agenda.
All right, do I have a second?
I'll second.
Second by Humphreys. Do we need to do a roll for everything, right?
That is
You have to
correct.
do a roll. Yes. All right. Melzan?
Yes.
Humphreys? Humphreys?
Yes.
Stevens?
Yes.
Parker?
Here. Yes.
Brandt? Is absent. Rose?
Yes.
Tar?
Yes.
Poznansky?
Yes.
Hayes?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Next up, we need an approval of the May 4th meeting minutes. Can I get a motion to approve the minutes?
Motion to approve the minutes as presented.
I have a motion by.
I'll motion to approve.
Second. Do you want to second that, Carol?
Sure.
Second by Humphreys. Lisa, will you do roll call?
Yes. Poznansky?
Yes.
Humphreys?
Yes.
Parker?
Yes.
Rose? Rose?
John, you're muted.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, I guess I was not there, but I'll say yes if that's.
Okay. Tar?
Yes.
Melzan?
Yes.
Stevens?
Yes.
Hayes?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. All right. Carol, you're on with the treasurer's report.
Treasurer's report. Okay. Not very much activity this last month. I paid a bill from McGraw-Morris for a letter for the audit. I gave the first payment to Vans Valley for the watering contract, and I gave the final payment for the flower baskets, and then I paid an AT&T bill. And then Lisa finally submitted some timesheets, and I paid her for March and April. So the total amount for this month is $13,057.28.
Is that AT&T bill, is that going away after, are we using the Village's services now that we're in the same building, or are we still keeping the AT&T?
So far, Lisa hasn't had to, besides just being up in the upstairs office, she hasn't used the printer or copy machine.
I think that's our cell phone.
That's what I was wondering. Are we going on to like their phone system?
No, we're not on their phone system.
No.
We have our own.
So we're keeping the cell phone.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
We don't even have a phone jack upstairs. Just
Well-
letting you know, there's no place to plug one in.
Well, the cell phone will work then.
Yeah.
All right, that's fine. All right, so we need a motion to pay the bills.
I'll make that motion to approve the bills in the amount, what is it, $13,057.28?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
We have a motion by President Malzahn to approve. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Stevens. Lisa, can you go through the list?
Yes. President Malzahn,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Tar,
Yes.
Kozinski,
Yes.
Humphreys,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Hayes.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, couple of things to be noted. I did send a check to, well, I got email from Sherry over at Village Offices that we owed some money back to the village. So I did send them a check dated 6/8, which is next Monday, for the $91,417.72, which was our 1920 TIF collection from the village. And then in June, I'll have to pay another watering contract bill and then another AT&T bill. I don't have any others. I think Lisa mentioned that she has a charge for First National Bank. Didn't you say you had to pay something, Lisa?
Yeah, I ordered a gift card for the scavenger hunt, so that'll be on there.
Okay. But that hasn't come yet. So aside from that, we did get the budget sent over to the village and it was approved. And then Lisa, do you want to bring up about the resolution or should I?
You can.
Okay. There was a resolution done at the village council meeting. If I get my phone back up, because I didn't print it out. And it reads, I believe it came in your last email. And basically it says that we have met all of our obligations between the village and us for the consent judgment. The only thing I see that needs to be done is that the last payment of $11,500 needs to be received. But other than that, everything has been done. And from the way I read this motion, from now on, we will keep our TIF from the village unless we go into a joint venture with them. Is that correct to understand? Christine? Am I reading it
Yeah,
right?
but yes, that was the intent, that every year when we develop our budget, we would look for a joint project that we would do together and jointly agree on an amount to co-fund that.
Okay.
Is that
Then,
noted? Is that noted
is-
on here, or does it have to
It
be?
is.
Or
Zach, it was in the other form that you signed on the DDA side, not
okay, so
on,
it doesn't have to be included in this.
right, because this really just deals with the consent judgment agreement, not the new revenue sharing agreement.
Got it. All right, that makes sense.
Okay, so then from what I understand, right now, the last budget that was sent to you was what the council approved, which would be the 91,000 would not go back to the village until we discuss how much it's going to be. And I dropped that down to building projects. That's where I moved it from revenue sharing down to building projects. So that money will be sitting there when we decide to do our projects. And any questions?
Well, a project that we agreed upon was the downtown lighting. That
Right,
was for the 45,000 for this
Correct.
year that you would give back. Yes.
right. Once we get our TIF money.
Right.
So,
Yes.
because last year I gave it back. So
Yes.
I didn't know if we would get that money back from last year, but that's part of the TIF agreement, correct? Consent.
Right. It would just
Agreement.
be from the date everything was signed. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
All right,
If the,
that's what,
if the village has approved the budget, then they've approved the budget that we submitted. And Christine would be the one to talk about this, but would we have to then send an amended budget if we're going to change something as significant as the $91,000?
the 91,000 was in the budget that Carol prepared, but the
Right.
discussion was that number should have changed, and then what was submitted to the village was that portion of that $45,000 share project. With the timing and the difficulty of doing it through the Zoom meeting, we just went ahead and used what was signed on the agreement by Zach for the $45,000 revenue sharing. So,
No, I'm not trying to be a pain,
Right.
but if we send a document and they approve that document, then that's the final budget until we amend it.
well, this document resolution changes that
yes.
budget. So by the time the end of their meeting came, our budget was changed already.
What did they approve then?
They approved it at 91 revenue sharing, and it's going to be 45.
The document said 91, but with the revenue sharing agreement in place and the consent judgment form being signed, it changed that number in your budget. So your document didn't reflect that, but that's what the other revenue sharing agreement says.
It doesn't change the bottom line at all. All it does
Exactly.
is change where it's at.
Mhm.
Do we need to send them an amended budget just to dot the i's and cross the t's?
Ultimately, when you guys ratify the budget tonight, I believe it has that number corrected. Is that right, Carol?
Yes, we've removed the 91 from the revenue sharing section and put it down into, let me read it.
So I'll just take a copy of the minutes when the minutes are approved from this meeting and a copy of the budget that we're going to ratify later on the agenda and just put that in with the DDA stuff, and it should be fine.
Yes.
Okay.
But we don't know where it is on the budget.
I can look.
Carol.
I just didn't print it out. I'm sorry.
It's
You guys have a copy of it.
right. I'm
It's the
assuming
same
it's
email
under,
that the resolution was in.
Right. It's
I just didn't download it. Let me tell you what line I put it on. I put it down in the part where we do improvements,
the
Main
blueprint.
Street projects, wayfinding.
wayfinding. Well, street projects.
it's this document, right?
Yes,
Yep.
correct, and it's on the second page.
Oh, there's page 2.
I took it out of the DDA budget up at the top, the revenue sharing, and then on page 2,
Okay, let me go back. I'll find page 2.
Gotta be under the wayfinding, right?
that's where it is.
That's where it's at.
125.
Right.
Okay.
That was only 34 before. It says Main Street Projects dash wayfinding. So
Yeah,
now that's 125.
And we tend to anything that the main category is under anyway, we tend to move that around throughout the year anyway.
Right.
As far as like if it's for some money from benches might go to wayfinding.
Right, we make adjustments accordingly.
Right. But I get what Bill's saying. It's a significant amount. But yeah, that makes sense.
So we approve it as it's written now?
Well, where are we at in the,
The bottom line, the total budget's the same. It didn't change. All I did was move it from revenue sharing down to Main Street projects.
so are we trying to do that approval now, or are we gonna go through the line, let Lisa do her director's report and then get to that first line under new business? Just follow along the agenda?
That's what I would do.
Yeah, it sounds like the
right.
way to go.
All right, so that kind of cleared up any questions that might come up under new business. So Carol, that you're good with the treasurer's report then?
Pardon me?
You're good with the treasurer's report?
Yes.
All right, so let's move on to Lisa with the DDA director's report.
Pull it up. Well, I mean, I did most of everything. I mean, I did everything that I did from home. So, you're not going to see me for a minute because I got to pull this up. Hang on for a second. I just got to find it. Christine, do you have it on yours and you can pull it up? Because I can't.
I don't think I downloaded it, but let me,
Hang on, maybe I can get to it.
I can read it.
I got it. I've just got it. Now I got it. Now I got it. Okay. So I checked on a regular basis the Macomb County sites and the MED sites for any updates for DDA and business-related assistance for COVID-19. I spoke with Jeff Schrader at Macomb County regarding the additional money that was made available, so that $125,000 that was made available. $125 million that was made available. Spoke with him before they actually made that announcement. Then I watched the web announcement to see how they're going to distribute it. And then they had to go to the county commissioners to determine that. Last I looked, they're still in the process. It looks like they're going to announce sometime this week when they're actually going to have that money ready to give out. I also talked to Jeff about assistance with updating the DDA plan, the TIF plan, which expires next year. He advised that with everything that's going on, that he thought if we did it with a January through April timeline, that would be good, because then that way we can have it prior to any budget meetings or budget hearings, because you do have to have a public hearing for that. So he said we do that. He says the county does charge to do it. He was going to see what kind of pricing he could get, and he told me he would let me know in about a month that would cost. And then so we have a price to compare that to. I talked with Steve Casson, who's the village planner, who's updating the master plan, this kind of pricing would be. And we discussed the price a little bit. So I'm just waiting. I'm going to contact Jeff in about a month and figure out what the price is going to be. I did contact Grace about the peeling paint on the Madaw building. She's going to contact Dave and then get back with me. She's going to have the Salcedo brothers, I guess, are going to go and look at that. Spoke with Tim about how many of the metal pieces are still usable, the benches that we have left over. I know Catherine wants 4 of them from the cemetery. Zach and I discussed it a little bit. So I'm trying to figure out what families want a bench, which ones do and which ones don't, and then what to do with the remainder. I've also been watching the festivals and the events in the area so we can try and make a determination about harvest days. The Armada Fair is still running, but they're not going to have any 4-H here. At this time, the Peach Festival is still scheduled. I noticed today that the Imlay City Fair is still going. Sounds like there's still quite a few things that are going to be happening. So I just need direction from you guys and what you want to do. Do we want to scale it back a little bit? Do we want to have it? What do we need to do? Then I talked with Ray earlier last week to confirm the flower install date. And as you can see, they are up. And already gotten a lot of really good compliments on them. So that's about it for the month.
Yeah, do you think maybe we should throw together a subcommittee on the Harvest Day thing to discuss options? Because I definitely think if we do decide to move forward with it, which I mean we probably should, just to have a plan in place. But I don't know if we should necessarily do it to the extent that we've done it before. I think we do need to scale back and you know, take the budget into consideration and look at our numbers from last year as far as the amount of people that were there, the amount we made on wristbands, how much we spent. Because you know, if I don't know, if doing away with like the petting zoo is, you know, probably a good idea. You know, anything that animals and spreading germs, I don't know, just something to, you know, better left at a subcommittee level than trying to discuss it at a meeting and hash out the details.
It probably wouldn't hurt. I personally myself, I think I would, I don't know. I think I would rather have the petting zoo than the inflatables, because to me, you know,
Kids could spit on the inflatables.
right. I like the idea of the petting zoo better, and it's always something that really draws the kids in, and they all love to do it. Whereas on inflatables anywhere, and
Yeah.
inflatables just, you know, you get kids piling on top of one another, and I don't know.
Yeah,
It's up to you guys.
yeah, and whatever it is, you know, whether it's
Right.
you know, maybe it's not handing out donuts. I don't know. I don't know what the guidelines are going to be for a lot of that stuff anyway. So it's probably best to leave it at a subcommittee
Right,
decision.
right.
You
Well,
were saying about wristbands, we sold 497 wristbands last year, and there was some people that never bought a wristband, and we gave away several wristbands also to the sponsors. So it's hard to say. There was a lot of people there, because you got to figure there's going to be a parent, sometimes there's grandparents, two parents, other siblings that are bigger, older rather.
Right.
And then we also noticed that a few people used to slip the bands on the other child so they could participate in something else. But, you know, that happens with everything. So,
That was when times were good too.
pardon me?
That's when times were good. People are going to be scaling back. They're going to be doubling up on wristbands everywhere.
yeah,
Yeah, so if we scale back the event where we don't have to charge for wristbands this time, then maybe that would be a better offer. And I think Lisa's right. The petting zoo would be a more controlled environment than the inflatables. And we probably don't want to give out anything than something that's sealed.
Right.
Such as a bottle of water, or I don't even think we should give out apples or donuts or pour cider. I think that for this year, we should shy away from that.
Yeah, definitely something to take into consideration when we're figuring out those details.
We had talked about that given the state of everything, we really weren't going to be reaching out for many donations from the normal businesses, so that we will really be hurting for money on that part of it too.
Oh, yeah. Sponsorship will be hard.
yep.
We felt it just was wrong to go ask them for money for something like this at this point.
Right. Yeah, I am not comfortable sending out letters or making phone calls to anybody to ask for donations of any kind, not with everything that's going on. Not at all.
So just a quick thought, and just chew on it for what it is. If we decided to not have the harvest days, just because we're limited now with time, we know that there'll be difficulty getting sponsorship money. But what if we look to just expand on a few other things, or have a bigger DDA presence, like the movie night? Are we going to do like the Halloween movie night in the park? That was kind of a big thing. We did it twice last year. Could we just focus on that and making those things bigger? if you wanted to do the petting zoo, bring them in advance of the movie night or something like that, instead of having a whole day where we try and plan, every bit of activity.
Yeah, I don't think that's a bad idea. Especially it might be hard to bring in a petting zoo just because space is limited in the park for people, especially if there's going to be more distance between people sitting down. But I don't think that's a bad idea to just kind of do something on a smaller scale. And you've got people coming through town that many more times now. It's not just a one-shot event that could get rained out, that could just have a bad turnout. You've got a lot more chances to get it right. So yeah, I mean, smaller scale, less. We don't have to spend as much money on giving out stuff, and I think it's probably better for the local businesses too to do it that way because there's just more frequency of people coming through. So
We
I'm
could
not opposed to that.
still do the scarecrows on those nights too.
True.
That's one of the big.
John, didn't you take care of that last year? Are you still there?
I'm sorry, what was that? Did I take care of?
Didn't you take care of the movie night last year?
Oh, yeah, movie night we did. That's correct. At Halloween.
And how easy is it to get films and things like that?
Actually, the actual movie was, Lisa obtained the rights to if I'm not mistaken, Lisa, of what we were able to show. I just took care of sort of the physical setup and helped with the promoting of it.
Would you be willing to do it more often than just 2 times?
Yeah,
Maybe the
absolutely.
whole month of October?
Yeah, we had discussed that. We don't want to do it too often. I don't think it's a weekly thing, but if it was a monthly or maybe bi-monthly, we'd certainly be willing to.
Bi-weekly, because I don't think it's in the summer.
If you do like a Nightmare Before Christmas one time, that would be something the kids would be interested in watching, and actually it's good for the adults too. It's a pretty good show.
Yeah, the thought was to do it, around that certain holiday. Halloween, for example, is what we did, and then, like you mentioned, Christmas or whatever other holiday that might be appropriate. Lucy, am I right? You took care of us being able to show the actual movie, correct?
Well, we used Parks and Rec's license to actually show the movie. So we did it with Parks and Rec and with Main Street, and then us. Parks and Rec had the license. We got the movies, and then John had the screen. So that was how we did it. And if Parks and Rec is still willing, then we could still use their licensing to do that.
Yeah, that would be the one point, obviously, that has to be figured out is the licensing has to be taken care of, whether it's Parks and Rec in that case. Another thought that I had, and nothing's been mentioned at all, I don't know if Romeo Theater has any interest. It might detract from their business, but if it is something, you might already have some licensing. There might be something there to discuss with him.
Well, they're in phase 4, so it'll be a while before they can open.
Yeah, but he might be able to participate in this outdoor movie night. Help us.
Yeah, they can bring out some of their popcorn and
Right.
on the
Right,
reel.
they could do with us.
Right.
So as far as if the screen we have was, and the projector we have was agreeable, and if that worked well enough, we certainly can take care of that end of it. I'm more than happy to help with the setup of that part of it. If somebody can take care of the movie licensing, so to speak, that's how I see it.
Yeah, and so I don't want to spend too much time in the meeting itself discussing it. I think there's definitely a lot of details to hash out just between Harvest Day and any other events coming up in October. So we can kind of get a group together who wants to work on that and take that on. Lisa, maybe send out an email with some dates and anybody who's available to meet can hash out the details.
Okay. All right. I'll send that out. I'll try and send it out tonight.
Great.
All right.
I have a
All right.
question, a general question for you guys. You know, we typically do the art and wine walk that Friday before. Didn't know if it was something we wanted to partner. I was looking to perhaps see if we could acquire a wine sponsor for the night. Give me your feedback.
As a business owner, I would still be up for participating in the event, and I think the DDA is, co-sponsored for,
As long as we've done it, yeah.
I don't see that changing. If you guys still want to put it on, I would still see us participating in that.
I didn't want to have to ask everybody to buy their own wine, so if I can find a way to get a sponsor that would help us out throughout the town. We may be a little lean on artists, but I think it's something that the public has come to really anticipate, so I would like to be able to still put it on.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe even if we can get some additional sponsorship dollars from the DDA to help offset some of the wine costs, because I think we spend probably between $150 to $200 on wine just for that one night.
We always do too. Well, I spend about $500 because we're the first stop. Everybody's coming to get that passport. So yeah, let me work on that. Just today we got notice that we could maybe start planning for a little larger event. So I will do my homework and keep you guys informed.
Right.
Thanks, Kelly.
All right. No funding requests, no committee reports, nothing under unfinished business. So that leaves under new business, adopt the village approved DDA 2021 budget, which we kind of already talked about earlier. It's in your packet. I don't know if anybody has any questions. It's pretty straightforward. Carol kind of touched on any changes that were in there. So we really just need a motion to approve and a second, and that's it.
I'll do a motion to approve.
Have a motion by Humphreys to approve the budget. Do we have a second? I'll second. Second by Hayes. Any discussion? All right, Lisa, you want to do a roll call?
Yes. Humphreys,
Yes.
Hayes,
Yes.
Tar,
Yes.
Malzahn,
Abstain?
abstain, okay. Poznanski,
Abstain.
Stevens,
Yes.
Parker,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
motion carries.
All right, perfect. If there's nothing else, board member comments?
Sure.
Be glad to get to work again.
Zach, after the last meeting, when I asked about the new businesses, I was out walking Rex, which I do every morning. And I walked by the building next to the bank, and there was a guy, looked like he was measuring it for a sign. And I asked him, what's going in there? And he said, AAA. And I said, oh, the insurance people? And he said, yeah. I don't think that somewhere or another, we ought to have some communication with the clerk when people are placing a new business in the area. If our job is to actually help direct the development of the downtown area, we ought not be the last people in town to hear about a business moving in.
Did they come to the village office when they were opening up?
Yes, well, we had a video conference meeting that's where the village office is closed just recently because we questioned first floor for retail only. But travel agencies are allowed, and this particular AAA offers travel services. Unlike the progressive people who were there and just had a travel service on the first floor that didn't offer any travel. So with the AAA, TripTix, and anybody can buy travel packages from that facility. So yes, he came in, we had our planner, Steve Casson, review it, and he thought that it met all the criteria right now from downtown. So I don't know that we've reviewed his build out yet. I don't know that has happened, but we did initially say that we couldn't find any objections to having AAA insurance go in that. So
I don't have an objection to it, Christine. It's just there've been 4 local meaning in adjoining communities, prominent insurance firms that have called me or contacted me in the last 4 years, and they'd like to expand into Romeo. And after I explain to them what our zoning are, they go away. But a big national that says, "Oh yeah, we have our travel services," they come in. Somehow we're discriminating against the.
Well, it wasn't the insurance; it's the travel portion, and that's right. We made sure, because originally the sign application where they gave us the signage, it didn't say travel. And I said, it has to say travel. You have to have open hours, and it's posted that that's what your service is, not just insurance, because insurance isn't allowed. But because he's a national company and he proved that he had travel services available, that's why it met the standards.
I'm not questioning that.
Oh.
But there's a reality check here. That's going to be an insurance office. You look at their books. If we ask to see their books at the end of the year, how much travel did you do? It's probably as big a joke as some other businesses that say that they're not running an office there. Okay? That's the reality. I'm just saying if we're adopting a new master plan, actually, I'm one of the biggest Macomb County insurance firms started in that building. That's Action Insurance. There was an insurance agency in there for maybe 20, 25 years. It's just, I find it unbelievable that we're telling an adjoining community, local business, no, you can't come here. And a national firm that says, oh yeah, we sell travel, which I'm not disputing they do, they can come in exactly the same building that something where Action started, they couldn't come back to. That's nonsense.
I don't disagree with you, but that's what the ordinance reads, right?
Yeah,
you can also you can also rent videos. So, well, no one's going to do that anymore either. But I suppose if you had a collection and you wanted to put on the back shelf of your roofing store, now you could say, well, I'm a video rental store, right? I mean,
I understand that. We're not saying anything different. You and I have had the same bitter discussion before about whether or not professional businesses should be allowed there that are professional businesses.
The master plan work is still ongoing, and that's where I think it's huge that if this organization, the DDA, wants to throw together some requirements, some restrictions, or some improvements to that ordinance in our central business district, now is the time to do that. But somebody
I agree with
has
you
to
explicitly.
I'm sorry, say that again, Bill?
I agree with you explicitly.
Yes. So,
is that something we would do as a board and present it to the village, or because are these meetings still happening that you guys are doing for the ordinance?
Nothing has happened because it wasn't deemed essential. So I don't know if Mr. Casson has actually been doing any work in the background, but he hasn't had any official meetings that I'm aware of under this COVID pandemic to move that forward. But it needs to move forward, and but hopefully now with the governor releasing the restrictions, that it'll get.
Zach, why don't we try and get together, and I'll even pay for lunch, and we can sit 6 feet apart and have a proposal for the next meeting as to the sense of our board. We can then debate it then as to how we feel about it.
I think
Sounds like a plan.
I think a subcommittee or something should be brought back to the next meeting, because this has been an ongoing issue on Main Street for years and years and years.
Kelly, I am so old it's ridiculous, and you and I would agree on that. Why don't you join Zach and
Bill,
me? And we can
Bill, I'd like to
keep
be
quiet,
part
Craig.
of that.
Yeah,
I'd like to be part of it.
Okay, then we can get together in a subcommittee meeting and,
You can't have a quorum now, so if everybody wants to participate, let's just make this an agenda item and let's review what the ordinance says and throw out a bunch of possibilities of what we think it should say, and maybe Lisa can draft something, and then we can actually go forward with the
I think
recommendation.
that's an excellent idea, and that should be the lead item on next month's agenda.
Can we try to meet in person for that? Because that might be difficult.
Thank you. Yes.
Let's make sure we can meet in person for that one.
Hey, Christine, I have one more request. When you guys have these new businesses coming into the office, would it be possible to give me a lead on that?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, we could do that. Why don't you just, get me a handful of brochures or some business cards or something, and I'm happy to pass that along.
Okay.
And with that, why can't the board just be notified? That this is the new, people ask, I mean, Bill, what's going in there?
Mm-hmm.
And if it's a secret, well, it's a secret. But if everybody knows, then for God's sakes, just have Lisa drop an email. The new business in town is.
Right. I'll try and make a mental note to make sure that if that happens again, that I mention it, or, throw it at Lisa, and she could, post it out as a note too, in her director's report. It's just whatever, not seeing each other, trying to all go about our day right now over the last couple of months has been awkward for everybody, but hopefully we're getting to the tail end of it, and yes. But to your point, Bill, that's the only business that I know of, that one. I still don't know what's going in across the street there.
I think everybody knows it's going to be a flooring contractor.
It looks with the black that they just painted outside.
Yeah.
Very
No one
contemporary.
has approached the village offices for any sort of occupancy permit for that property, so.
Okay. And people are changing their minds.
Yeah.
In Riffle's office, there was someone who wanted it, was going to come in. Ed finally says, okay, this is when I'm pulling the pin. You say, come on, let's sign the lease. And they suddenly decided, this is just not the time to try this.
Yep.
And that's how I feel about the people not coming in.
Absolutely.
All right, fair enough. Sounds like a
So-
plan.
I just wanted to take a second, if we're still under comments, to welcome John Rose. Thank him for stepping up to fill the remainder of Randy's term. I think that, John, you're going to bring a lot of great assets and perspective as a fairly new business owner, but somebody who's sitting out there on Main Street, almost 24/7, like Zach and I, owning a business. So it's what it's about. And so I appreciate the fact that you agreed to let me appoint you, and you're stepping up.
Oh, wonderful. Well, thank you for having me. Thank you, everyone. I will try to do my part as I learn what you guys are going through and what you're doing, and please help me along the way.
Yeah, welcome, John. And also thank you to Randy for his time on the board. He was here for a long time, and he was the chair before I was, and I always thought he did a great job and was a asset to the board. So we'll be sad to see him go, but John, we're happy to have you here. That's it for me. I'm good if you guys are good. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
I got one more. Just with the benches, I want to make sure that we get them out to the families before we decide how many. I really don't know how many we'll have left. I'll get a hold of Carl. Everybody that had a plaque, which was, I want to say maybe 10 people, everyone wanted a bench. But it was at that point, wait until we get them switched out and then let them know where they can go get them at. So I guess at this point, the next step is they're all there.
Right.
Let the people know that they can go pick them up. I don't know. When I had talked to Tim, he said that they were going to be outside of the fence. I don't know that for sure. So I guess I'll double check that, because at that point, someone could come grab them anytime. If they're inside the fence, it has to be during certain hours. And I'll talk with Carl. And Zach, you knew some of the people too. I really didn't know anybody. All of that stuff was way before me. So we'll have to figure that out.
Okay, we'll coordinate that.
Okay. That's it.
Great. Motion to adjourn?
Motion.
You want to support or you want the motion? I'll make the motion to adjourn.
All right.
Support.
Motion by President Malzahn, supported by Parker. Lisa, just go through the list real quick.
Okay, Malzahn,
Yes.
Parker,
Yeah.
Poznanski,
Yes.
Humphreys,
Yes.
Rose,
Yes.
Tar,
Yes.
Stevens,
Yes.
Hayes.
Yep.
Did I get everybody?
Think so.
Yes, motion carried.
All right. Meeting is adjourned. Hopefully next time we're meeting together in person.
All right. Thank you. Good night, everybody.
Good
Good night, thank you.